Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay. Metabolism is the topic of the day, and this is going to be a phenomenal episode for anybody who has questions, just even going back to the basics about dieting and metabolism and reverse dieting and what it's all about and why do you keep failing? Why are you on this like never-ending crazy train to get the weight off? And maybe what you're doing is actually sabotaging your results. So I'm here with the ladies of Loud. They are a coaching team, and they are just phenomenal. They deal with all kinds of people, whether all from competition level to lifestyle. And I have Bailey Whitmore with us, and I have Steph Ranallo. So Steph is going to take the lead on metabolism. This is a topic that we could go on forever. So we're gonna try to pack in as much information as we can.
And I'm gonna try not to be so scientific because it can get a little dry.
No, let's dumb it down. Because I think that's what people want.
Yeah.
I think people are just like, tell me, like, talk to me, tell me what am I doing wrong? What am I doing? Why do I keep failing? These are the things that people
I'm dieting and I'm bigger. I'm dieting and gaining weight. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
Right. So first of all the buzzword is calorie deficit now on social media. And while I get it, a lot of times when somebody will say, hey, how do you lose, can you tell me how to lose weight? And then somebody else will say, oh, just eating a calorie deficit. Well, first of all, how do you know what your calorie deficit is? Mm-hmm. What does that even mean? How long do you stay there? Yeah. So Steph, I mean, what if somebody asks you that, where do you even begin? So
first we kind of got to debunk. I also hear a lot, like, I can't lose weight because of my metabolism.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's another part. First we have to debunk, is it your metabolism or is it your diet and training? Like you said, do you know how much you're eating per day? Are you tracking your food? You could think you're eating very little, one large meal a day, that's 2,300 calories, and not actually be in a calorie deficit. So before we just start to jump into my metabolism is crappy, track your food. Learn how to track your food. It's easy, really. It's easy. So first we have to figure out where you're at. And if you know, especially my weight loss surgery people, that you've been eating not a lot for a long time, your metabolism probably has slowed down. Well, you have to keep refreshing my mind.
Well, first of all, like, say if somebody said to me right now, Dana, how many calories a day do you eat? And I say, oh, I'm on a fat loss diet. I'm eating 1,600.
That might mean nothing.
That's
to that
my calorie
person.
deficit,
right? Because
to maintain, like, say 2,000, 2,100, whatever it is. So that might not help somebody else.
Not at all.
So it's like, so that's one reason why people need to stop sharing their diets even on social media, because it's like, just because that's what I eat, your calorie deficit might be way different than mine, because maybe somebody's been under eating and now their calorie deficit's 1,000 calories because they've slowed their whole metabolism and system way down.
Right. So the metabolism in and of itself, the body generally, is a very adaptive thing. That is to the food we consume, the workouts that we do, the lifestyle that we live. So say for me, for the last year, I've been tracking my food and I have been eating 1,200 calories for the last year. And I am not happy with where I'm at. My calorie deficit, I come to you and say, Dana, what's your calorie deficit? You're like, oh, it's 1,600. I'm like, maybe I should, take my calories up to 1,600. Maybe that will be a deficit for me. But I have been eating 1,200 for the last year. I'm going to gain weight.
You're going to be in a surplus.
I'm going to be in a surplus if I'm with you. Now, for me to scale down a little bit or lose weight, and I have been 1,200 calories, I've been tracking and I'm good and I know that that's what I'm taking in. And guess what? My calorie deficit is looking like 800 or 900. Which is not okay. Unless you would love to kill yourself to get on a bodybuilding stage, which, let me tell you, a lot of these women have to go down that low to get as lean as they need to. People don't talk about how low they actually go. I think it is glorified whenever someone's on a diet phase. Oh, I can diet on 1,200 or 1,700 calories. And that is what they're showing on social. Not many people are talking about the fact that when I diet, I have to go down to 900 calories and do 3 hours of cardio on the time.
Right.
You're not hearing about a lot of that. Cause I'm sure if I told you, Dana, I have to eat 700 calories a day and do 4 hours of cardio to even lose a pound, you'd be like, Steph, you got to figure that out. That's not good.
No.
That is not good.
And that's a red flag to say,
red flag.
You should not be even doing this. You are in no position.
You have a terrible
metabolism. Yeah.
So the metabolism itself, I think it's also a word that has so many different components to it because people just throw the word out there. So we'll just say the body itself, the metabolism, training, everything, it becomes adaptive. That's a key word here is adaptive. So if I am eating 1,200 calories for a year, my body down regulates, slows itself down, my thyroid down, my energy expenditure, calories out, down, so that 1,200 calories over time becomes my baseline. And
Which is terrible.
But, okay, I'm a nurse practitioner. I practice medicine. But we do know that in the world, when you're seeing a lot of physicians for dietary issues, they recommend a 1,200 calorie diet. So that number, for whatever reason, is stuck into our head. I'm not even sure where we got that number, to be honest, and why we talk about it so much. But it's way too low for any functional woman. And that's where we kind of hang out. I'm going on a 1,200 calorie diet. And you're like, probably shouldn't do that for very long.
Yeah.
So the body's adaptive. So I'm going to adapt to that. That's the same thing as if I run for 30 minutes a day, every single day, my body will adapt to that 30-minute run, and to bust through and burn more calories, I'm going to have to take it up to 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and it's going to keep going. Construction workers, they spend a lot of time using their hands and burning a ton of calories. Like, do you ever jackhammer anything?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, I haven't, but I know what you're talking
about. or even like demo a wall in your house,
it's
a physical job. But over time, their bodies adapt to all of that physical output that they're doing, and that's not going to burn calories for them anymore. But if I go and jackhammer a day, I'm going to be sore for about a month.
And it'll burn a lot of calories.
Because my body's not used to that. So the word adaptive is a very big word, and it's not just food. It's also your output and the way that you manage your lifestyle. So,
because when people think about, if you think about it, if our bodies didn't adapt and you just kept burning those same amount of calories and you just kept...
You would
wither away to a feather and blow away.
Right.
Like you would never stop. So your body adapts so that you don't turn into a string bean and,
It's a smart body.
It's
a good mechanism that we're adaptive. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
We just have to know about it to be able to
adaptation is great because that's how it protects us, like primally, right? So at the end of the day, we are animals.
Yeah.
And when we had a time where food wasn't so readily available, we can go out anywhere and get some food. The body, and we were only eating maybe once or twice a week, the body would slow itself down so you didn't die.
Yeah.
Whenever you were only getting, food once or twice a week. Now we can have whatever we want.
Yep.
But we're still experiencing this adaptation.
Because people still do starve themselves, meaning, if we're speaking to a lot of women out there, it's like they're still doing this chronic dieting.
And
it's chronic. That is the key word.
Yeah.
We can diet.
We can.
But people don't understand the adaptation. And if you're chronically doing it, then it's no longer a diet.
And then how long do you think a chronic diet would be?
I think of chronic dieting as even if it's not one diet going on forever, but just not taking long enough breaks. So it could be somebody dieting, they do a 4-month diet, or they're just dieting all the time.
Or their whole life.
Yeah, people just stay at 1,200 calories. So personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with a 1,200 calorie diet, but you need to know how to come out of it. Mm-hmm. We can survive off of that if you want to burn fat, if you're petite, if, you're somebody who has a sluggish thyroid or whatever. Some very small women.
Or you don't have a lot of output, you're not working out a lot or anything like that, right?
Yeah,
right. You have a sedentary lifestyle, right.
But like you said, it's the education to be able to come out of it. So for me, I just like 4 months for my clients if they're not super overweight. If they have a lot to lose and it's being successful and there's no red flags, then, I refeed people every week. And maybe that diet goes to 5 or 6 months because we have green flags.
Yeah.
So it's not only just like the time frame, but we're also looking at how they're responding. Like, is your recovery okay? Are you sleeping well? Is your digestion okay? But like 4 months is kind of my happy place. And I just like a 1-to-1 ratio at the very least. Like if you diet for 4 months, you need to at least diet break for at least 4 months if you want to hit another diet. That's what I do personally. But I always tell them the longer the better. So if they're enjoying their diet break, great, let's stay here for even longer. I don't care.
So you said a couple words, and I'm going to reiterate a lot of them as we get through this talk, but a refeed day. So what is a refeed day? I think we say refeed day and people say, oh, that's a day I eat whatever I want. No. You're like a cheat day. Yeah. We program refeed days in when we have somebody who is dieting and kind of getting low in their calorie intake on a daily basis, maybe once a week or once every other week, or maybe even twice a week if they can handle it, where we feed them a good bit of carbs or even a little bit more fat so that we stop this adaptation. We don't allow this adaptation to happen. It's person by person. Some people can tolerate a refeed so much better than other people. Some people refeed and like hold on to 4 or 5 pounds and then they freak out and, we have to readjust some things. Bailey also said diet break. What's a diet break? A diet break is not a time where you come out of a diet phase and you just go ham and eat whatever you want and everything that you have been, writing down like, oh my God, I can't wait to get Oreos after this diet. No, you're on a strategic amount of calories. It might be your maintenance calories, or we're working up to a higher maintenance calorie and letting you slowly sink into that reverse dieting into a diet break. A diet break itself is not, I'm stopping eating all of the good things that I was eating while I was dieting, but it's a break from being in such a low calorie deficit. So I just wanted to kind of clear those things up because I think people hear of refeed days as go ham all out, do whatever days I want, which is if you're dieting and your metabolism can't handle that, you're going to be about 2 weeks behind from one day for sure. And then diet break is I'm not doing anything that I was doing on the diet. I'm just going AWOL. And that's not the case either because that's going to be another yo-yo diet at that point, a regain spot.
Yeah.
Are there other questions?
Well, adding on to that too, like it's not always just time-based either. Like if they had those red flags while they're dieting, like their recovery is lower, they're not sleeping or their digestion issues, like the goal of that diet break is to get you back in a good spot, feeling good too. So like, I don't care if it's been 6 months of you diet breaking, especially if like we don't have their calories back up where we want them. Like if I'm dieting somebody, if their average height, I want their calories 2,000 before they diet, like no questions asked. You need to be eating enough. So if they come to me eating,
and their cardio not like so high too.
If they come and they've been eating 1,100 calories, I'm not just going to say, okay, we need a diet break for 4 months. I'm going to say, we need to diet break until we can get your calories up to where they should be for somebody your size.
Right.
And then marinate there.
which is hang out. It's what I did after years and years of chronic dieting.
Right.
And I finally got my calories up and I never really went back.
Yeah.
I mean, like Steph said, unless I have something coming up. And the thing is like, even when I diet or pull in for a photo shoot, it's just to feel like a little tighter, but I'm never looking to get like shredded lean like I used to diet for. So it's like, it'll just be to be like, oh, I'll just feel like a little tighter in my, or just kind of drop a little of that extra water weight I might carry around or whatever. But that's it. And then the other thing that you said that when I was kind of daydreaming for a minute, because you said something about how some people handle the refeeds better than others. But I realized that through the years, I've started to handle them better and better and better the more that you do them. Why do you think that is?
Well, I have my own, I have the answer in my head.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah, I want to know what you think.
Why? I mean, because remember when I used to refeed it, it's like, then it was like, it took me like the whole week to get back and then it'd be time to refeed again. And I'd be like, wait a second, I just got all of the refeed, bloat and all the stuff off. I don't know why. Why do you think it's gotten better? Because now I'm like...
One, your metabolism is way healthier from you not chronically dieting.
Yep.
2, over time in the years of you training, you've built more muscle mass to hold on to this food and to utilize this food.
And when I refeed, I'm sandwiching a lot of training around the refeed.
And it better,
so
so you're using that. It's not all getting stored and
I look nice and like full and bubbly, not like bloated. And it's like it's getting shuttled into the muscle. And,
right. And in the world of metabolism, think about muscle is metabolism. The more muscle you carry, I'm not talking about looking like a big jack bodybuilder, because I know a lot of women are like, I don't want to have that muscle. And no. It's having a nice amount of muscle mass in relation to your fat mass, right?
Right.
A lean physique.
Yeah.
You can utilize food a lot more. So you're going to store a lot more food in your muscle once that spills over from your liver. Like the liver, I think, can hold, I might get this wrong, but off the top of my head, I think it's 400 grams. Is it
right.
400 or 600 grams of carbohydrates. Once that spills over, where does it go? Goes into the muscle mass, then that can hold whatever muscle mass you have. But if you don't have a good bit of muscle mass, the carbs are going to turn into triglycerides, and they're going to make fat.
Right.
And storing the fat. So the more muscle you have, the more people can eat. That's why you see people that, have a decent amount of muscle mass, myself, Bailey, that they can tolerate huge refeeds, and might hold a pound of water or pound or two of water.
Oh, I can tolerate them so much better these days.
Right. Totally. But back in the day when we were so underfed and we didn't have years of training underneath us, and we didn't have more lean muscle mass than fat mass, one refeed day could take a week or two to come back off. And then you're just like, I don't know, you're just on that hamster wheel, right?
Yep.
So, when I have a chronic dieter, I have to do things pretty strategically, even though they might need that, or really explain to them like, yeah, I know you're going to gain some weight through this process, but it is weight that you actually need. Yeah. And I'm sorry, your goal might be fat loss, and that's why you hire a coach almost every single time. But right now, you might need to put on about 5 pounds and get over the fact that you're not going to lose weight right now, because I need to fix you.
Right.
Or you're just,
I wish more
you're going to spend like 5 more years
and like
figuring this out.
That scares the crap out of so many people. And I wish more people, like I finally and for me, it was always the resistance, because it's like, I'm the face of my brand. I'm on social media. I do photo shoots. So I was always resistant to it. I was like, no, I always have to look amazing.
Right. But think about the fact that you're going to a coach and you're saying, I want to lose weight. And that coach is like, no. I'm going to make you fatter for a little bit.
Right.
So I'm sorry.
Right.
No one's going to want to hear that. That's not going to register. Like, why am I paying you $100, $200, $300, however anybody coaches, a month to make me fatter? Lady, this doesn't make sense.
But if you hire a coach who you trust,
actually,
you're
kind of screwed.
It's like you're taking these steps forward to be able to then, go to where you want. You've got to kind of, you got
to trust the process.
Yes, trust the process. And so that's what I finally did. I think, 2 years ago now that I did it. And because I realized, I'm like, I'm spinning my wheels. I've been doing this for so long. It was like already 9-10 years that I had been like chronically just trying to stay ultra fit. And it finally does start to backfire a little bit when you're like, oh my gosh, it gets harder and harder and harder to maintain that. Because I also wanted to live. I was in a relationship and I got kids and I want to travel. And it's like, so it's like, in order to kind of buy that freedom, that food freedom, but then also stay fit and feel great, there is I don't know. I guess you have to call maybe like a little bit of a sacrifice that you have to do a little bit to say, okay, Dana, yeah, I did. I put on some weight for a little bit. And when I say weight, it wasn't like sloppy weight. It was, I filled out, I smoothed out a little bit. Was it uncomfortable? But what I did was I just had to dress a little different. So I wasn't like, hot, like freaking out. And I trusted the process, and I trusted the coach, and I followed the plan, because I knew that it was like investing in my future.
It is. And we've all done it. All three of us. I know have gone through that phase.
We've all gone through it.
Of getting, we
investing
we
in
cannot,
where you want to be.
We have to gain weight. We all gained weight in that phase.
But you have to.
And
it works.
It's a little different. Like, and first of all, if you have the mental aspect of, I cannot eat this food, that's when you take Bailey's course. But everybody gains weight in a different way. I pack it on. I mean, like my body loves to be soft and it likes to be big. Yep. But, another woman her weight gain could be way, way more mild than mine was whenever I had to go through this.
Sure.
So And not for nothing, it wasn't a time when we all went through this that we were just doing whatever. We were still tracking food and like making sure that we weren't in a super big surplus, because you'll add weight on quickly if your body is slowing down like really quickly. Like I
started to just put on weight. I couldn't get it off anymore, and it was just getting to be. And I remember, like, I would get nasty about it. I'd be upset because what was working in the past stopped working.
And it doesn't. So that's the identity of the metabolism. It remembers what you did.
Yeah.
And the body is smart. We underestimate how smart our body is. Oh,
yeah.
We can overcome that. It might take some weird measures, or you might not like it because it's foreign to you. But every time you diet and go through a diet, there is a pillar of the metabolism, which is our identity, that oh, I remember her. Yeah. She cut my calories down to 1,200 not too long ago before. So guess what? I'm going to slow her down because she's not going to ever feed me again. I know this. I know that the last time we were at 1,200 calories, I had to spend a whole year there. So I'm already slowing down her metabolism so I can survive on these 1,200 calories. I know how this girl goes. That's our body and our feedback loops in our brains. You can outsmart it with refeeds and diet breaks and
you know what?
Things like that.
Just kind of, I think I did get 10 years. I got solid 10 years in because I got after the twins are 11, so maybe 9 years before I started to feel the ramifications of, the chronic dieting. But I think I got as far as I got because I was always carb cycling and I did do a lot of refeeds and I did binge still and I did have, and I did have my breaks and I did. So I think in a sense, it's like I did kind of do the thing, like, cause I remember I told you, I even believe in cycling your caffeine. I believe in cycling everything, even the running program I'm on right now. I run 1 mile, 2 miles, break, 3 miles. Like, it's like, I'm never just every day hammer in my body. My body never knows what's coming. Like today I'll run 2 miles and then I'll take a break and then I'll run 4 miles. It's always cycling. So I think that that's how also we can keep things like always making sure that you cycle and you never just you can't just keep ramping up the amount. You've got to pull back and then add in and pull back. It's even with like caffeine. Like I got to where I had a detox off of caffeine, remember? Because I just kept adding caffeine.
Because we wanted to be lean and energy and fat burners and like, let's go. And like, what does that do? That just stresses our body out even more on top of it. The only time I don't believe in cycling is with a resistance training program. I do believe you should stay on the same resistance training program and really get stronger through it. Because if you're cycling out movements and just doing whatever the hell, you're never going to build that quality muscle that we know we need. Muscle is metabolism. Yeah. But you also, adaptation is good when it comes to training because you need to bust through that adaptation and increase your weight. Like,
that's what most people, they think they need to switch out their workouts. You just need to challenge yourself by increasing the weight. Right. That's how you
or an extra set or an extra rep or whatever the case may be, or tension, or there's all these different training modalities that I think I've talked about before and we can talk about in another podcast. But when you're training, if you started a training program and you were bicep curling 5 pounds and then 3 weeks later that 5 pounds feels like, 2, it's time to you got to progress and take up the weight.
You want to track that. You want to track that.
Yeah. Track that adaptation. That's a decent adaptation, but you need to bust through that.
Yes.
Because your body just built the muscle.
Weight training is definitely the exception where you should always be pushing for more.
Now, if you're hurting yourself and like you're like, I cannot pick up any more weight off the ground, then you got to change it up and do a different movement, or
because you can also add reps.
You can add reps.
There's some points like with my weights, some of them like I'm not going to go heavier, but I might have to push a couple more reps, and then I'm like, okay, that's where my failure is.
Absolutely, or me being pregnant, I can't push heavy weight, but I can certainly, do like 1 1/2 reps and do a tempo thing, or there's just so many things you can do training. But if you're just going in there and you're not ever making progress with training too, you're going to adapt and you're not going to get where you
and then you're not going to see results.
And then you're not going to be able to eat more food. We always said we want the muscle mass so we can eat all the food that we want and it not stick to us like glue. Because believe me, when I first started coming out of bariatric surgery, and rebounding that time, and then rebounding through my divorce and my move. And I had another rebound in there at some point. everything would stick to me like glue. I would sniff a carbohydrate and it would stick to me like glue because I wasn't ready.
Yep.
My body wasn't ready. Yeah. And that all comes back to the fundamentals of my metabolism.
Yep. Yeah. It's wild. And
I think when you know that though, for me, once I started diving into like, what is this word? And like, why do I look fit? I'm strong as shit. Remember, Bailey? I was eating 1,300 calories. I'm strong as shit. I look fit, but I eat one meal off and like I'm full of fluid. Why? Like why? And once I started understanding like, oh my gosh, this all makes so much sense, it allowed me to first like be at peace with it. And second, to understand where I need to go next to be where I want to be, which is the gray zone. And it's lovely.
So something that a lot of people love it when I approach, because I think it's something that a lot of women want to have the courage to do, is like a reverse diet. And so if somebody wants to try a reverse diet, how do you suggest that they go into something like that?
I think if you are a woman and you've been under eating for so long, and you have a big appetite like I do, I think that you need to hire somebody to at least give you the accountability and be able to check you and monitor you. I feel like if I were to reverse diet by myself without the accountability of checking in and doing pictures and tracking my food and all of that, I would have just started eating.
It's a huge struggle to reverse diet on your own mentally.
Because you're going to gain weight
because you're adding
going to
food.
gain weight. But if you're checking in and I come to you, I'm checking in with Bailey because she's my coach. You're like, no. You look fine. Mm-hmm. This 2 pounds is okay. Like you're going to be
well,
okay.
Then
you're literally eating more.
Then when they said, because I remember when I was reverse dieting and it's like, I'd see like 1,900 calories.
Well, yeah,
like,
right.
What? Like that
I'm not eating
crazy.
that, right?
But I was like, trust the process, Dana, do it. And then I get my plan the next week, and it's like 21, and I'm like 2,100 calories, But it's like because somebody was assigning it to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just do the assignment. But if I was doing it to myself, I would never assign myself 2,100. It sounds
and
so
not
scary.
Consistently, right? So on Friday, you'd eat a shitload of food, but come Saturday, you're going to freak yourself out and probably cut your calories down really low. If I was doing it by myself, because it's that mental food with friends or friends with food aspect that we don't have. So when you do hire somebody, they're guiding it. It's on you to do what they're telling you to do, but they're guiding where you should be. Right. And you know what? If you start, I always said, if I started gaining weight and this went left, it's my coach's fault. Yeah. I'm doing what he's telling me to do. Right. So figure it out, my guy. Like that's why I'm paying it. So I think that if you've never reverse dieted, but you're telling yourself, like, I know that's what I need to do, especially after you listen to these podcasts, I would hire a professional to at least help you. So you don't gain 15, 20 pounds through this reverse, because it's easy.
Or psych yourself out in the process.
Or psych yourself out in the process. I mean, like, look at the competitors that we know of after a show.
I gained 60 pounds after my first show.
Yeah.
60? I thought I was bad with
within
like 30 or 40. Oh, my God.
60. She blew up. Mm-hmm. And she's not like a big...
Do you have pictures?
Yeah.
I want to see those eventually. That's wild.
Yeah. There aren't many pictures, but I have
first of all, I'm like... After a show, like my mom once, a couple of my shows, my mom was scared that I was going to have like a heart attack or like a stroke.
I know. Because you hold so much fluid.
Oh my God.
There has been.
My mom was like, because I competed 2 different years at Team Universe, and it was a national show, and it's always on 4th of July weekend. So I would finish competing, and then we go to like a barbecue, like a 4th of July barbecue.
You can't control your
I'm eating like hot dogs. I'm dieting for 17 to 21 weeks, and then
you're primed, fat, and we're going ham.
You're ready to go. And why? Yeah. And the thing is...
outrageous.
First of all, it's not just what it comes down to discipline at that point. Really, it's
not. No.
And it's not about discipline at all at that point. Your hormones coming out of a diet phase are... they are surging. So there's a hormone called ghrelin and one that's called leptin. And ghrelin rises, tells us we're hungry, and leptin rises and then we're full, right? They're all mismanaged whenever we're not eating enough. And once you trigger yourself and start eating, when you come out of a severe calorie deficit, your body's going to continue to pump that I'm ready to eat hormone. I'm ready to eat hormone because
and I didn't stop.
Right, and
I'm
you
ready,
won't.
and I'm gonna keep on going.
Because you're like, I just ate all this food, but I'm still hungry. And like, let's go. And I'm still hungry. And why am I so hungry? I'm so confused. Your hormone is telling you to eat. The body now wants to store all of that food because it knows probably within the next couple days or weeks that you're going to go back into a calorie deficit, and I have to still have some calories for me to keep this woman alive.
And it's wild how quickly it'll pack on.
It will. And like I said, it will go right into once the liver fills over, then the muscles fill over, then that goes right into fat storage, and carbohydrates are water in the body, and you'll blow up with inflammation. Your body can't process that and all these other things. But that is, I went back, we spoke about being primal. That's our primal reflex. So back in the day when we ate a lot and we stored all of those calories for the next time we weren't going to eat. That's the same thing that happens whenever we come out of a diet phase. Yeah. And your hormones are pumping and you're getting these surges of dopamine, like, oh my God, this shit's so good. I haven't had anything but salad for the last year. Oh my God. Like even the shittiest food is good whenever you are done dieting.
Oh, I find myself eating stuff that I'm like, why do I even want this?
And then you go to eat that stuff after you've like fed up and you're like, this shit is disgusting. Like why do I do it? Yeah. But it's like, yes, food. Give me. Yeah. And you can't. It's hard to really stop yourself.
And it's crazy. I used to say that it was like Cinderella when it's like 1 second you're on stage like all lean and shredded and feeling great.
Yeah, and then
the next second it's like all of a sudden the Cinderella turns back into the freaking pumpkin.
Yeah.
Post show is way harder than actual competition.
Way harder.
It's the worst.
And I think we're relating this to a lot of bodybuilders, and I know that your platform here and on this podcast, there's not many people that
mainstream.
Compete. It's mainstream. But whether you're a bodybuilder or a person that just chronically diets, the physiologic portion of this does not change.
Right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do, like you were saying before, they diet for events. Oh, I'm getting married. My daughter's having a whatever. Like any of the things. I'm going on vacation. And it's like, so it's just another excuse to
or my weight loss surgery.
To diet.
My weight loss surgery, girls. I mean, we were big. We lost a lot of weight. And now I don't know what triggers our brain to say, I can't ever eat again because that's crazy. I'll never be fat again. But we spend years under eating. So it's really this, and I mean, not for nothing, we didn't get to bariatric surgery for not liking food.
What do you think these new,
the GLP-1s? You know how I feel about them.
Doing to metabolism.
Terrifying. It's terrifying what it's doing to metabolism. First of all, I think GLP-1s and the GLP-1 GIPs, which, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, the new one Zepbound, I think they are phenomenal medications for the right person and
used correctly
and being watched and monitored. When I have somebody on them, I am up their ass about getting in their protein, weight training, not losing all of their muscle mass. And I don't like them injected every 7 days. I like them injected every 10 days so the person can get hungry for a day and have a refeed day. That is how I like to manage them. I also want to see blood work before, as your coach or as your nurse practitioner, would ever say that this is a good drug for you. Because if you don't have insulin resistance, if your markers look really good, you're just taking a drug to take a drug to mess up your metabolism and to not really try to diet on your own first. I'm sorry. I feel like if we need to fail at a couple diets, tracking, training, being really diligent before a person that clinically doesn't need these with insulin resistance or a history of morbid obesity or metabolic syndrome takes these drugs just for funsies.
Oh, I see just regular people who just want to lose 10 pounds.
Right. I'm
like, why can't you just
do the work? Do the work behind it. But
and they're like, oh, I'm just too busy. I hear all kinds of stuff. Like, oh, I don't go to the gym. I'm too busy to meal prep. So we're just going to starve yourself and lose all your muscle? That sounds like a great plan.
That's exactly what's happening. Ugh. Women, and I know you see these memes like Ozempic butt. Yeah, because you lost all your muscle, right? Like there's no one, you're not working out. You're just popping an injection and it was going to work, right? You're never going to want to eat. You literally don't want to eat on them. Like it stops the inhibition to eat. It stops the dopamine in your brain
but it's also slowing everything down,
right?
Like that we're talking about.
Well, it does slow your metabolism down, and it slows your gut down pretty big too, because you just stay fuller longer,
right? Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
I think that's like between all the ways we can lose weight and all the weight tools that we have to lose weight now. you can still have that negative outcome if you don't understand the metabolism, because they're all working through the same mechanism.
Right.
Whether you have a weight loss surgery, or you do a strict low calorie diet, or you have a weight loss drug, you're restricting your calories every time. Your metabolism is taking the same hit every single time. So you still have to have that education of how do you come out of this? How do you treat your body to, So I think people, that's the misconception that I've kind of seen is people, you still have to pay attention to the ramifications of what it's doing to your body to be restricting your calories through any method.
Yeah. And then, weight loss surgery is wonderful. Obviously, I was very successful with it, and it has changed my life in ways that I could never imagine. And, the GLP-1s, they're really great too. But if you're not learning these principles and you're not really changing your lifestyle, and you have to, come off these drugs for any certain reason, which I am a big proponent of only running them for 26 weeks to give your body a little bit of a break and to give your gut a little bit of a break. But if you get pregnant, I've seen or you can't afford it anymore, or whatever the case may be. If you have been eating not a lot, and you're just a normie woman that wanted to lose 10 pounds, and you did on Ozempic, and you didn't eat and you didn't train, you have to come off that drug at some point, you're going to rebound. You're going to rebound. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're going to rebound, because everything that it was doing, not only, your gut, but in your brain, you're never thinking about food. You're not food focused. That goes away like this. It goes away quick. And now, not only are you underfed, now you're hungry, and now you have your brain's working again. I guess that's dumbing it down as much as I possibly can. Your brain's working. Yeah. And the hormone levels that I was just talking about post-show, post-weight loss surgery, when that comes back, it's all the same shit, just different ways.
So when I talk about yo-yo dieting in my course that we talked about last week, I talk about this perfect storm of rebounding. Yeah. And it is the adapted metabolism. Yep. So there's a physiological aspect, as well as your hormones. You're hungry because you've lost weight, been restricting. So you're hungrier, and your metabolism is slower. And if you have that poor relationship with food, and you do start to gain weight, and you have that black and white thinking, you start to eat more, you start to spiral. So it's like this perfect storm of both your body and your mind working against you. And if women don't know these things, or if people don't know these things, then they just think, I just need to try harder. I just need to stick to my diet longer. I just need to stick to my diet harder. And then they dig themselves into a deeper hole, and they eat lower calorie because their metabolism has adapted. So they have to go even lower, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's how it becomes chronic.
Yeah. And if you look at this on a bar graph, someone who would diet and come low with their weight and then reverse out, and over time, that diet reverse out, hold at maintenance, diet reverse out, hold at maintenance, you're going to be smaller, leaner, more muscle mass at the end of it. If you look at a yo-yo dieter
and eating more,
I was going to say more calories
and more calories at the end of it. So you're going to be where you want to be. Your calories will be up. You'll have more freedom. You won't have to keep yourself on a leash. You'll look better. You'll feel better. Guess what? Your thyroid's going to love you. Your cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, is going to go down. And really, women who undereat for so long, they go into something, a lot of times happened to me, go into something called hypothalamic amenorrhea, which means the body stops producing estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. A lot of gymnasts get this. A lot of women who are very lean get this. When women lose their period from competing, that's called hypothalamic amenorrhea. You go into premenopause. So your sex hormones are going to be better if you diet, reverse out, stay at maintenance. Maybe in a year or two, you want to diet again because you want to get a little bit leaner for whatever reason, and then you reverse out and you stay at maintenance. Now, if you look at a yo-yo dieter, and you're up and down and up and down and up and down, most women, maybe even men, but I don't really think men really yo-yo diet that much. We're just going to talk with women, because this is, most women, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Where you started your diet after years of yo-yo dieting, you're actually heavier, softer, larger, because of all the metabolic hits you took. And now on the other side of it, your hormones are screwed up. Your cortisol levels are through the roof. You are the woman that has to run on 92 cups of coffee. You're spazzed out. Your thyroid sucks. All these things happen if you look at it over the course of, maybe not snapshot it for a year, but look at it over the course of 5 to 10 to however many years we're going to be alive. Women start dieting, in their 20s?
Yeah.
if we continue that into, our 40s, 50s, 60s, that's a lot of time and a lot of hit to the body over time.
Yeah, and it's a shame to screw up your hormones.
Your hormones.
I mean, women's hormones are going to change anyway, but
they
it's
are.
like to screw up our own hormones, our own thyroid.
And not all women get it. I mean, there's plenty of. I think even when you competed and you got very lean, you never lost your period.
Never lost my period.
When I got very lean and I was about to compete, I lost I went from having PCOS hormones, like, the high testosterone, things like that, to having nothing from being so underfed.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. I was one of them. So
yeah. See, everyone's bodies. Yeah. And I never had, it's so funny because, with all of my competing and the dieting and all those years, my hormone levels still stayed great. I mean, my thyroid level was always great.
Not mine.
My testosterone was always fine. I never lost my period. And then I didn't start having problems until like my 40s. But like, my hormones are changing anyway. I'm getting probably close to or in perimenopause or close, or I don't know what the heck's going on. But I just, in the last couple, years have now been like, oh, my hormones aren't as perfect as they were in my 30s. But at least I can do my best with keeping my diet where it needs to be to keep all that healthy. I mean, even like when people drop their fats too low, that affects their hormones,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like you were saying, not everybody responds the same. Like some people might never have these issues. It has a lot to do with just the stress capacity in general.
Yeah.
And some women, like just person to person, from a mental mindset perspective, some women can handle a lot more stress than others.
Yeah.
But like for you, when you were that lean, you were also a night nurse, right?
I was
nursing.
I was nursing. I was working 7 to 3 in the cath lab, and then training after that. And then coming home and doing coaching.
And like waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to do cardio.
3 o'clock in the morning to start cardio, popping all the fat burners in the world to keep me going.
So it's like all of the stress together. Like I've just always lived a low stress life. So I never had any like.
In my mind at that time.
I'm just chilling and I could handle it because
But
got nothing
Steph
else.
and I was also with the fat burners, the energy drinks, the coffee. I mean, after my twins were born, I had my toddler and then twins, and my mom's stepsister works for Starbucks, sent me boxes of Starbucks coffee, and it was like our thing. She sent me blonde roast because it was like the strongest. And oh my God, I was crushing coffee, and like I competed a year after, cranking, and I was competing, and I was like just go, and like somehow I kind of got out of that. I did have the food rebound things, but as far as like hormones, I mean, after giving birth to the twins was the first time in my life I actually had a monthly period. I mean, before I didn't even know I was ovulating when before the kids. I had all these like, and then all of a sudden my period was stable. Everything finally. Got monthly. I mean, I never had like a normal cycle. So it was, that's kind of wild that was but I did eventually, I would feel the crashes of too much caffeine. I'd feel the crashes, and I would feel and I think that my stress rolled into the emotional eating. When I would get stressed out with my kids and my life and my business and all my stuff, I would find myself in my pantry.
Yeah.
So like, maybe it didn't show up on my blood work, but it certainly showed up with how I was emotionally handling life.
Right. And then at the same time, like I thought I was freaking crushing life. I was up at 3 a.m. doing my HIIT, and then I went to nursing work. And then I was maintaining at the time I was on like 900 calories. I think my carbs were at 30 for 5 days in a row. My refeed, my carbs were like
starvation
125. Diet. Yeah. And then I was training after that. And then I was coming home and coaching until 10 p.m. at night. And then I would just do it again and again and again. And I'm crushing it because I'm hitting my plan and I'm doing all these things. But I'm popping a fat burner in the morning, a coffee before then.
And it becomes addictive to see the results. So to be fair,
right.
When you're on, because I've done a bunch of contest preps. I've done photo shoot preps. When you're grinding on a prep or a goal to get lean or to lose weight, whatever, it does become addictive, and you start feeling like the results become addictive, and you feel like whatever it takes because you want the results the next day. You want to see your weekly pictures changing.
And you look awesome.
And
you
everybody's
do,
commenting and complimenting you like, oh my God, look at your arms, look at that.
Yeah.
So you're on this high, you love the feedback. And then also for a lot of us who struggle, you finally have that like control. You're like, I can just do it. I'm here. I'm feeling great.
I'm on it.
But it's like, is that sustainable? Like
what happens
going and going
after?
and going.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you're like, okay, now
So
I'm
I was
done.
warned though.
Yeah.
I think actually by you.
Yes. I was going to say, I think I told you about all my
I think actually by you.
Yeah.
Bailey and I, we weren't that close at this point. I don't think this was like
After your second rebound,
my
I remember
second
being
rebound.
like, Steph,
Yeah,
you gotta eat, man.
my second rebound was the worst.
Yeah.
After this one in 2019, I rebounded from that, and everyone was like,
I was there through all of them.
You're gonna rebound, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna crush this reverse diet. Go screw you. Nope.
Yeah.
But we caught that one. That was okay. I went on.
Every now and then, though, it's like
I caught that-
sometimes good to
yeah.
learn the hard way and
Yeah, I
see
learned the
because
hard
we're
way.
our own guinea pigs. And like
Yeah.
I had to like crash and burn so many times and learn.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I wouldn't be the woman who I am
Yeah.
now, and I wouldn't be
Yeah.
sustaining, maintaining, like thriving where I am right now
Yeah.
if I didn't go through all of that. And I thought also, and I wouldn't understand truly what it takes if I didn't grind that hard and put in the work
Yeah.
and like really build the muscle and diet down. I wouldn't have that appreciation.
No, not at all. I'm happy I did. I'm happy I
And I
was as
felt
crazy
like
as I was
could
in
then
2019.
Take my
Yeah.
experiences, and then when you were going through it, I could tell you,
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, she's gonna like, and I told
Yeah,
you about
this
the
is gonna be
I'm like, you're not
bad.
gonna, and like I would like kind of give you a heads up where
Yep.
nobody really gave me a heads up, but like I was happy that I'm like, look, I've been through this, and like I'm the friend where I love to share my experiences because I don't enjoy seeing people fall on their face and crash and burn. And if I see it coming, I'm like, all right, it's gonna happen to her because shoot, like she's doing all this, but I'm glad I'm there for her because there is the other side.
Yeah, right.
And I'm glad I can be an example of the other
So
side.
after I failed that one, not even failed, after I rebounded from that one, from that very low point, I
Yeah.
gained weight. I went back into a diet phase because I was big now.
Yes.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger. And mentally I was like, I can't do this. I need to be leaner. So I went back into a diet phase not very long after I got out of one.
right.
My metabolism was
that.
in the shitter.
Yep.
And then got my divorce, moved, and that's when the rebound that we were friends with happened because I was still training, I was still tracking, but I was binging at night emotionally. And she was like, bro, you have to bring your calories up. Like you
Yeah.
can't. She's like, first of all, I don't know how you're still as strong as you are on 1,300 calories. Like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you? Like, you're a behemoth. But,
Amazing.
But you were like, you really have to like take some time and build your calories up. And that's when I went on HRT, did keto for a little bit because my insulin was my insulin resistance was so terrible. It came back. My thyroid was bad. That's when I didn't have any of the sex hormones. My cortisol was through the roof. I even did a Dutch test. So there's many ways that you can check your levels. Blood's the easiest, but it's only a snapshot of that point in time when the blood is getting drawn out of your body. If you want a really in-depth look of where your levels are, your testosterone, your cortisone, your TSH
Is the Dutch.
It's just expensive. And honestly, it's a pain in the ass to do because you have to
You have to get somebody else who knows how to read it.
well, you have to get somebody who knows how to read it because it's like all these weird pie graphs, but you have to like pretty much dehydrate the shit out of yourself. You can't have any coffee. You have to pee at certain times. You have to like set your timer and then you have to pee on sticks and let them dry out. And then it's a pain in the ass and it's expensive, but it was really eye-opening. And that's when I realized like, oh gosh, this is not going to get better for me. My metabolism is just terrifying. And I haven't dieted since.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you've really turned yourself around after.
But at least I can tell somebody like, this is not going to go well, chick.
Right.
Please just, I know you're not going to like it. I know you don't want to eat more. I know you don't want to get soft, but please do it because I can tell you about your hormones all day and I can give you all of these like scientific things about what's happening, but just save yourself the time and trust me on this one.
Yep.
Trust me on this one.
Yeah. Well, we are gonna talk about coming back from setbacks, because
that's right.
That's one that we've spoken about, quite a bit, as far as, just on social media, as far as with the rebounds, coming back from setbacks, whether it's injuries, pregnancies, losing a loved one. Like, there are a lot of mental things that people go through, physical things, and that you feel like you're set back, but it's like, that doesn't mean, that you need to just throw in the towel. And we'll share our experiences on the next episode. So thanks for joining me on Metabolism, ladies. I think there was a lot of good stuff there.
I think we could probably talk about this for another 3 hours.
But there's a lot of meat in there. There's a lot of stuff to take, things that everybody can take from this episode.
And if anybody wants to see the graphs actually in real time that I'm talking about, just email me. I think you'll put my email address in the show notes. I can give graphs. I can give research. I can give data. If you're one of those people that I need to read about this for myself, I get it. That's me too.
Yeah.
Just email me and I can give any type of resources.
But hopefully this helps some people who are stuck on that chronic dieting cycle. You're wondering why things are failing. And, and also, if you are scared to build up your metabolism, or scared to add in your calories, this is your sign that you don't have to be scared. That
it will be okay. It's going to look really junky and uncomfortable initially, but you hold yourself down like you would in your diet, being as strict as you are in your diet.
You'll come out the other side.
You will come out the other side.
And thrive and love life.
Yeah. Yes. And looking back on it, I think we all can tell somebody, I can guarantee that if you just take some time off, you're going to feel a lot better, and your metabolism is going to be better. Maybe your hair will grow back.
Your energy, everything.
Maybe you'll have more of a libido. You'll sleep at night. You won't want to throat punch people every day. Your skin will look better.
And you won't feel deprived.
Yeah.
You don't have
look at the signs.
Yeah.
You're allowed to rest.
Are eating probably over 2,000 calories now. Oh. We're all happy with our bodies, and we've all been through it. So I think the takeaway for people is well, you're pregnant.
The
takeaway is people aren't doomed.
Everything.
Yeah, no, they're not doomed, but we all had to be a little bit uncomfortable and, put on bigger clothes and train. You got to train. You got to rest. And
yep,
we can talk about
We're going to talk about that. Yeah.
We'll talk about that with setbacks and things. We'll talk about that.
All right, join us next week for another episode of Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.